You guys good? Okay, awesome. Hello everybody. Hello everybody, I'm Nathan from TaxBuddy. I study accounting and finance here at the university, and I'm here to talk about a major threat to the accounting industry that not many people are talking about. In Canada, almost 90% of accounting firms are struggling to hire enough chartered professional accountants. And this is because of two key problems. One is a shrinking labor pipeline, and one is an aging workforce. I personally have experienced this problem through my co-ops. I've learned about this problem further through my parents, who are both CPAs, and I've also learned about it through discussions with many other professionals. And ultimately, this problem leads to two key outcomes. One is inaccuracies as a result of burnout, and this causes compliance risk and liability. And then the second is inefficiencies, which come from professionals covering both senior and junior work, which leads to the majority of hours going towards compliance work over more lucrative tasks like advisory. And ultimately, this is not the proper way that the industry was meant to be run. And so this is a problem that's affecting all sectors and regions. Globally, 83% of leaders report insufficient accounting talent at their organizations. And in North America specifically, 38% of all businesses report needing additional accounting help. However, the workforce has fallen 300,000 accountants over the last 2 years. In Canada specifically, 67% of firms are trying to hire short-term workers to fill this gap, and 52% are trying to hire for permanent roles. However, these firms are still experiencing the hiring challenges that we previously talked about. And so in 1879, the first accounting body in Canada was formed with the sole purpose of promoting trust and accuracy in Canadian businesses and their reporting. Since then, the accounting industry has changed a ton, but these two core objectives remain very true. Over the last 10-15 years, there's been a really negative trend of the labor pipeline shrinking. So we see here the compensation is up 47%. However, exam passing rate is down 16%, and the exam candidates are down 36%. And then, so this is really accumulating and showcasing a fundamental shift away from accounting. And CPA Canada has done some measures to address this. Most notably, they've adjusted the certification process into a more staged approach, so candidates can complete the exam in different stages of the program, much similar to the Chartered Financial Analyst program that's grown in popularity in recent years. This should make a designation more accessible. However, it does not address the core problem of a shrinking pipeline due to changing preferences. So I've had the opportunity to speak to some amazing professionals, most of which are pictured here, and they've all reiterated some of the same key failures within the industry. The first is that professionals are just feeling overworked and underpaid. This burnout is leading to the inaccuracies and inefficiencies that we've talked about, and it makes it very hard for these professionals to dig themselves up out of the shortage. The second is how students are smelling this burnout and preferring finance and tech careers over accounting. I personally was one of these students, and I see this playing out every day in my own program. The third is how manual workflows are really trapping professionals in these tight deadlines. This is a very deadline-driven business. You have to file your taxes on time. You have to file your reports on time. And so many professionals don't have the time to identify key productivity improvements. And then fourth, the structural failures, for example, key compliance risks, increase the compliance burden for these professionals, leading to trapping them in manual workflows. The fourth is that a risk-averse culture really delays technology adoption that could help address inefficiencies and inaccuracies. So ultimately, this accumulates in a self-reinforcing cycle. The CPA labor shortage threatens trust and accuracy in global financial institutions, leading to unsatisfied professionals, which has negative implications on both the firm and organization. And then a shrinking labor pipeline, where the aging workforce and where there's an aging workforce and the profession is now undesirable, leading to a shrinking labor pipeline. So these all accumulate in a self-reinforcing cycle that's threatening the industry today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. So I think it's Kyle's turn to start us off for Q&A.
Can you boil it down to a single sentence problem statement?
Yeah, for sure.
Single sentence problem statement.
Thank you. The accounting profession faces a shortage, which is really introducing inaccuracies and inefficiencies. That's as plainly as I can put it. The inefficiencies and inaccuracies are a major threat because that's what the accounting profession is built on. And, sorry, it's the one thing that accountants are entrusted with in their profession.
Okay, so the problem is shortage. I noticed like the emphasis on, again, the talent pipeline or like, new training specifically. And I think I heard right, like your evidence is from interviews of professionals, like speaking to burnout in the industry. Do you have any more information, like interviews or I suppose of students like considering this career and why they've steered away from it?
Yeah, for sure. So the research has been through conversations and also additional market research. And so the overworked and undercompensated desk is actually a great quote from the Canadian Accountant website. And some of these people up here are students. Some of my roommates that I've interviewed are students. I'm very involved in this, and so that's my friend John, Cody, Ingrid, Britt, and they all reiterate the same things in their co-ops, and they see it on their managers' and seniors' faces, and they reiterate in the conversations. I've also been, I couldn't put my face up here, but I'm also one of these students.
Done some self-reflection.
Exactly.
Thank you. Julie?
Just following on that a little bit, but I'm curious about, as you identified the problem, how much you looked into sort of generational differences around the approach of, because it strikes me that accounting is that human cost of billable hours, and that's a very old method for doing work. So I was curious if you explored, how the different generations view wanting to do work like that.
Oh, for sure, yes. So the younger generation does not appreciate the work the same as the older generation does. That's just as plainly as I can put it.
That sounds like a universal
And that's exactly it. And so ultimately the nature of the work is not attractive to students at all. And that's where this labor shortage and this shrinking pipeline comes from, is students are saying, I don't want to do this job, I'd rather take a more interesting job in finance or tech. Me personally, I did 2 co-ops at KPMG, did not enjoy the work. It's just not enjoyable. And so I went out and I joined finance. Same thing, same problem there, but I'm one of those students that saw accounting for how it is right now, said this isn't a great career for me long term, which is many accountants are saying that, and switched. And I'm saying the accounting profession has to change a little bit and become more attractive and go back to what makes it such a strong and great profession to be a part of.
Thank you. Nabil?
It's interesting because like any organization has an income statement, balance sheet, so it's like numbers are part of like any organization, so it's an important competency. I found it interesting because if we're talking about the problem, if it's 300,000 less people in the last 2 years entering the profession, I wonder to what extent some of the other variables that exist in society, like the advancement of the uses of certain technology or whatnot, in terms of, like even myself, I use AI on a much more frequent basis to ask questions and address problems. So as you see these individuals, these companies that are more individual or much more lean in terms of headcount focus, I wonder if that factors into the problem into the future.
Factoring kind of lean nature of shifts and use of technology for some of these things.
Yeah, firstly, I really appreciate the competency. It is a key competency for a lot of people to understand financial statements and metrics. In terms of technology adoption, namely AI, there's a lot of firms that are getting in trouble right now for using AI in their key deliverables, which is causing a lot of AI hallucinations, for example. And so then it's reducing the quality of work and again, breaking that trust and accuracy. And so AI is not in the spot to completely adopt in these accounting firms. It's still very people-driven. They're working on solutions towards that and whatnot. but ultimately is not quite there yet, and it's still a very people-driven people-driven business. And so that 300,000 last year, or the last 2 years, can't fully be explained by AI and technology adoption, just because the technology is not there yet. Thank you.
Thank you to TaxBuddy. Next up, we have Halo.